Good morning, children. Today I will be discussing with you the poem Ballad of Longwood Glen. This poem is written by Vladimir Nabokov. Now, knowing about the author or the poet Vladimir Nabokov was a Russian American novelist and poet and translator. His first 9 novels were written in Russian language, but he achieved international fame after he switched to English prose in the middle of his career and produced masterpieces such as Pale Fire and several short stories. He is now highly regarded as the finest writers of the 20th century. Now, moving towards the poem The Ballad of Longwood Glen. This poem is a ballad. Ballad is a poem or a story which is written in the form. It is a story which is written in the form of a poem. This poem has couplets to describe the entire incident in the poem. So, moving towards the poem, that Sunday morning at 10:30, 2 cars crossed the creek and entered the glen. What is a creek? Creek is a narrow sheltered waterway and a glen is a narrow valley. Now what happened on this Sunday morning? It was a Sunday morning and at 10:30. At what time? 10:30. 2 cars entered the glen, crossing the creek, crossing a narrow sheltered waterway. A local florist in the first was Art Longwood, a local florist. Who was Art Longwood? He was a local florist. Florist is a person who sells flowers. With his children and wife, now Mrs. D. Forrest. So, who was in the first car? In the first car was Mr. Art Longwood, who was a local florist, and his wife, who has remarried now, who has now left him, and now she's known as Mrs. D. Forrest. In the one that followed, a ranger saw. Ranger is keeper of the park, forest, or an area of countryside. So the second car, a ranger saw. Who sat in the second car? Saw Art's father, stepfather, and father-in-law. So 3 people again sat in the second car. Who are they? Art's father, stepfather, and father-in-law. The 3 old men walked off to the cove. Cove is a small sheltered bay or inlet. So the 3 old men walked off to the cove. Through tinkling weeds, Art slowly drove. So these 3 men walked off to the cove or the cave through the weeds, and Art slowly drove his car. Silent, fair was the morning with bright clouds afar. Children and comics emerged from the car. So, what kind of morning it was? It was bright morning. As the bright clouds were afar, so it was a fine morning. And the children jumped out or emerged from the car holding comics in their hands. Silent Art, who could stare at a thing all day, watched a buck climb a stalk and fly away. Art is called silent here. Why he was silent? Because he had such patience that he could sit for a whole day and watch bug is an insect, climb from one leaf to another leaf, from one stalk to another stalk silently for the whole day. Silent Art took the ball and tossed it high. It stuck in a tree that was passing by. Now, what did Art do? Silent Art means quiet, silent, patient art. He took the ball, he tossed it high in the sky, and where did the ball go? It stuck. It stuck in the tree. It did not fall down. And the grave green pilgrim turned and stopped. The children watched, but no ball dropped. And what did Art do? He silently looked up. And what happened? The children also waited, but the ball never came down from there. The ball never came down from where it had gone and stuck. I never climbed trees in my timid prime. Now, what is timid? Timid is showing lack of confidence. Timid means youth. Prime. Prime means youth. And timid means showing lack of confidence. Now, what kind of childhood did Art Longwood have? Art Longwood had a very timid youth. He was very scared, afraid, and he lacked confidence in his youth when he was young. Art thought that in his prime he was very timid and therefore he was never able to climb a tree. Now and then his elbow or knee could be seen in a jigsaw puzzle of blue and green. So, what did now he do? He started to climb the tree. And what happened? What we could see? We could see now and then his elbow and knee could be seen in a jigsaw puzzle because he was climbing the tree and he was wearing blue colored dress, and through the green leaves here and there once in a while we could see leaves and his blue dress. So the poet calls it a jigsaw puzzle amongst the branches of the tree. Up and up Art Longwood swarmed and shined. Shine means climbed quickly and gripping with one's legs. Now, slowly and steadily, he kept on climbing the tree. Art kept on climbing the tree. The leaves were happy to pronounce the opposing wind. And the leaves said yes to the questioning wind. Questioning means opposing wind. The wind that was cutting the face and the body of the Art Longwood. So, what did what he felt like? What did Art feel when he reached at the top? What tiaras of gardens, that torrents of light, how accessible either, how easy flight. Either here means upper regions of air beyond the clouds. Now, what happens? On reaching the top of the tree, Art Longwood exclaimed that he is now at the tiaras of the garden, means he is at the top of the garden, top of the world. He could see the torrents of light flashing by the sun. He was now able to access to either either means air beyond the clouds, and he expressed joyfully that the flight was so easy, the climbing of the tree was so easy, which in his youth he had thought was so difficult. His family circled the tree all day. Pauline concluded Dad climbed away. And what did his family do? His family circled around him throughout this process, this incident. And then Pauline, who is Pauline? Pauline is his daughter. She screamed with joy that his father had finally climbed the tree. The whole family is so happy to see that Art Longwood was now on top of the tree and finally he was able to climb a tree. So, what model do we get from this poem? We learn that we should always be courageous to overcome any kind of fear in our life, any kind of situation that we face in our life. We should boldly face any situation that comes before us at any point of time. Thank you, children. With this explanation, I come to end. And if you have any queries, you can always ask me.